Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rebeca Senechal. I am an account manager here at Formax in Dover, New Hampshire. Thank you all so much for joining me today and for Thanksgiving week. Really appreciated. This is the next episode in the series of making more of your MFP with Formax Solutions. And today we're going to talk about data destruction. Listen, we're all in sales. We all know the constant pressure and stress that comes with being in sales. And I'm here to talk to you about a great product, a magic product, if you will, a little bit of Christmas humor there, a product where every customer out there has a need for it, regardless of the vertical market, whether it's a bank, a school, a credit union, a law office, a jewelry store, a car dealership, it doesn't matter. Okay, everybody has a need for it. And it's super easy to sell, all right? No demos, no sample testing, and it's even easier to service. And it also makes all of those customers out there, all those companies out there, again, regardless of the vertical, it makes them more secure. It makes them safer. And last but definitely not least, it saves them a ton of money. What am I talking about? I'm talking about shredders. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, shredders, really? That's the magic product? Yes, it is. And listen, I know I made some incredibly strong statements just then, and now I'm here to prove it all to you, okay? Take a typical office environment. Welcome to Formax University. You have your typical office, your MFP, your copier, and you're printing out, right? And typically, right next to the copier is a secure shredding bin. Now, what I want you guys to realize is you guys have all seen the trucks out there, right? You've seen Iron Mountain, you've seen Shred It, whatever your local shredding service company is, I'm sure you've all seen the trucks. Listen, that's a huge market. Pretty much everybody out there is paying for a shredding service. And just to back that up, a little bit of data, in 2024, last year, the global shred service market size was $3.49 billion. So this is a huge opportunity in your current book of business right now, in your prospects. Everybody and anybody you could talk about shredders with, okay? Now, we talked about the shredding service. Then we're going to talk about how that kind of works, what that looks like. So a company like Formax University, let's say, is paying monthly for that shredding service, okay? And they're paying every single month. That payment never, ever ends. So let's think about that for a second. That's going to get costly pretty quickly. But let's talk about how the whole thing works. So they're paying monthly, typically for one pickup, maybe two. If they happen to have a bin that's full, they have to call, they have to pay for another pickup. That's going to cost them. There's fuel surcharges. There's all kinds of hidden charges in there. But the shredding service comes on site. They take the bin, probably wheel it out into the parking lot where they have a truck. And they dump that bin onto the truck. Now, sometimes the truck has shredders on it, okay? And they can actually destroy the data right then and there. But most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, this gets, thrown onto the truck. You get your empty bin back, and they do it again next month. The truck is going to go to the next place down the street, and they're going to do the same thing and the same thing all day long until they end up at the shredding service warehouse. Okay, and then they're going to take all of that material that they've dumped onto the truck, and they're going to dump it into a secure location, hopefully. Now, who knows when that's going to be destroyed? Who knows when your documents are actually going to be shredded? It could be today, it could be next week, it could be next month, who knows, okay? But so that's so far where we're at, okay? Now, most of the time, those shredding services actually shred in strip cut models, shredders, okay? So we sell cross cut shredders here. That's HIPAA compliant. That means basically any of your shredded pieces can't be put together and, replicated, can't be put back together and figured out what the document said. Strip cut is the opposite. It gets cut in a strip, like a strip of spaghetti, basically. That is not HIPAA compliant. Now, the reason the shredding services do this is because they sell the shredded material to recycling companies. And the bigger the pieces, the more that they weigh in the bag. And they get paid by the weight of the bags that they sell to the recycling companies. So not only are you not seeing your documents be destroyed on site, but you could be shredded in a non-HIPAA compliant way. So it's absolutely crazy. And then we talked about, how that never-ending monthly payment, right? They keep paying that as long as they're in business for. And let me give you a really good example here. This is just a typical scenario. This person right here was paying for a bin service, and they were paying $129 a month. Okay, now luckily they got a Formax shredder. They took, they decided to go with the shredder on site instead, and they leased it. So the lease payment is $78 a month. So that's an immediate savings, which is great, right? But look at this. Look at the ROI here. Once that lease payment is up, they own that shredder outright. Okay, and look at this, year 7. With the shredding service, just under $11,000. That's a huge savings for that customer. And this is all stuff that you can talk about with any customer at all. So we have a ton of different shredders. We talked about the HIPAA compliant, the cross-cut, all right, which all of our shredders are cross-cut or more, higher security. We have a bunch of different ones, not just the ones that do paper, okay? So we have an 87 Plasti here. This is going to shred your plastic and laminated materials. Think of ID badges or x-rays or labels off pill bottles, right? There's a lot of different things that you could do with that. Anything that's laminated, certificates, whatever. Now, the reason that you need a special shredder for that is you can't do that on a typical shredder because the laminate or the plastic gets wrapped around the cutting head and it jams. This has a specialty cutting head. It's actually 2, one on top, one on the bottom, and they rotate. And that makes it so that they won't jam, so that the plastic and the laminate can go through without jamming around the cutting head. We have a green wave here. This is a really cool machine. This can do cardboard. So this takes the cardboard that a company already has, and you run it through and you create your own packing material. Think about replacing air-filled bags and bubble wrap and things like that. Now, actually introducing the Greenwave 412 today. This is a new upgraded model from the 410 that you may be used to. A couple of differences, but the main difference is really the back panel. Okay, on the back there's a nice, easy to remove back panel on it. And that's for, as you know, when you shred cardboard, there's a lot of dust. That allows you to get in there and vacuum that out so that you can keep the machine running to optimal efficiency. Over here, we have our 8652 cross-cut shredder. This is our biggest office shredder, and we're going to get into that in a minute. Next to it, we have the 87 HD. That's our hard drive shredder, okay? It's actually a hard drive punch, I should say. We have hard drive shredders. They actually shred, pieces of hard drive like this. But boy, if you're a company or you're, a government agency or whatever, and you need a solution that's under $5,000 for hard drives, this is your guy. This is the 87 HD hard drive punch. It literally punches a hole right in the middle of the hard drive, so it can't, you can't get any data from it. So under 5,000, we've got this, and then we've got our hard drive shredders as well. We also have casino shredders that can do chips, dice, cards. We have high security shredders for federal government use that literally turns everything into like a dust. And then, like I said, last but not least, we're going to look at the 8652 crosscut shredder here. Now, as you can see, all metal cabinet, really, really well built. That's all of our shredders. But if you want to switch to the camera here, this is going to give you a real nice in-depth look at the inside of the shredder. Now, hopefully, I've pretty much convinced you that this is a huge opportunity. Shredders for a shredding service, it makes total sense. Hopefully, I got you all hyped up on that. But now I'm going to talk to you about why Formax over the other competitors out there. So as you can see, this is heavy duty in here, right? This is, you see like all steel chains, heavy duty gears and cutting head here. You got your auto oiler over here, and you see this really big motor here. Now, if you were to look at competitors' model inside, you'd probably see some nylon gearing here, all right? You wouldn't see a big motor like this. This is called an AC motor. What you would see in the competitors is a DC motor. The biggest differences are the DC motor is actually smaller. It's like the size of a Campbell's soup can. This is actually quieter. And this is measured in torque instead of horsepower. What's the difference between torque and horsepower? Glad you asked. Torque is basically when you're in your car and you slam on your gas and your head gets thrown into the seat. That's the torque you're feeling. That's the initial immediate response, the initial power of the motor. And that's what you want when you're talking about a data destruction device or a shredder. You want something that's going to take it immediately. Horsepower is something where it kind of takes a little bit of time to get up to speed, but then it stays there, right? And then you got your power. I'm impatient. I think we all are in that day and age where we want immediate, response. And that's where you want the AC motor. Not to mention, again, like I said, the steel gearing, the steel cutting head here, the auto oiler, the all-metal cabinet. That's why you're going to want to go with Formax over the competitors. So hopefully I've given you guys some really good things to think about. You definitely want to go with the shredder over the shredding service. Save some money, right? Make it more secure for your customer. It's really serviceable, easy to sell, and everybody needs it, no matter what their vertical market, okay? This is an easy conversation to have with just about everybody up and down the street. So go after it. Next time you're talking about the MFP or the copier when you're in the customer's office, ask them how much they're paying for a shredding service. Throw in a shredder on your next quote. You won't be sorry, guys. These shredding services are not, nobody's going after them. All right? Nobody's challenging them at all. They're just racking in the dough. You guys can be successful, and this could be just the thing to get your foot in the door. So again, thank you guys so much for your time. My name is Rebeca Senechal from Formax. We want to thank you guys for taking the time to join us today. Hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving.